Welcome back to the Ethereal Girls podcast. I'm Savannah.
I'm Rachel, and we are here with our guest. Can we do it?
Grass. Grass. You're like,
you know what? Let's
Grace
just
and
keep
guest
it
together.
Yeah. This is our guest, Grace.
Yes. Hey guys. I'm so excited to be on.
So
and be here.
Grace actually is from here. She doesn't live here anymore. We all what?
Nothing. It's just the way you said it. She doesn't live here anymore.
She's no longer with us, but she's in another land called Florida.
Florida. And so she flew in for a bridal shower and decided to come on our podcast. So we are ready to welcome her and super excited about it.
Yes, I am so excited to be here. It's super fun because Savannah went to my high school, so it's kind of fun. Once a bulldog, always a bulldog.
Yep.
I was in Grace's,
I know we did ballet.
Yeah, and then I think we were in pre-K together.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, didn't you go to St. Timothy?
No. I went to Cedarwood.
No.
I know.
We
There
didn't know
are
each
so many
other.
people in my pre-K class that when I look back on the photo, I'm like, oh my goodness, I knew all these people.
Yes.
Like, that's the perk of growing up in a town like Mandeville where everyone kind of knows everyone, you know? Like all of us, like we weren't necessarily like best friends or people with that, but we had such a mutual respect for each other. And I think that's what makes this even more fun for me to be on the podcast.
Well, another thing that's cool too is like seeing how you're saying like, yeah, we might not be close, but we know each other, we're acquaintances, whatever. But then now here we are, you know, in our 20s, 30s, however old we are at the time. It's like seeing where everybody is, what they're doing, where they're living. It's just really cool.
Yeah, well, like before we started the podcast, we were talking, and you know, when you live here, you don't notice things changing a lot. But Grace was like, there has been so many changes
There's
in
a
Mandeville.
Chick-fil-A in Mandeville.
Yeah.
That
I know, isn't that
was
amazing?
like the biggest change to me.
Yeah,
Like,
if any of y'all don't live here, we live in such a small town.
Yeah.
I don't think it's small anymore. I've
It's
decided
really
it's
don't.
not.
It's expanding. But what I was going to say earlier too is I feel like Mandeville is so small business oriented. Like, yes, we have Chick-fil-A's and like Home Goods and things like that. But like,
We have stuff.
We still have Home Goods.
we have things. But like the amount of small businesses that have opened since forever, like since we've moved here. So I'm from Chalmette. So whenever we moved here in like middle school, like compared to, you know, 2010, 2015, really like to now, it's totally different. Another thing real quick, but I was talking to one of my other clients and she's a female business owner and she just opened. She mentioned that 70% of the businesses that were opened in Louisiana this year were women.
No way.
Wait, I love that.
Isn't that awesome?
God
This is
bless.
our year. I will say, I think that's also the coolest thing about us even being here, like, you know, championing each other's businesses and like our own like careers and our creative like industry is the idea that I will talk to my grandma and that was like not an option and not even a thought process. And the idea that y'all can wake up and be like, we want to start a podcast. Let's do it. Like I have my marketing company. Like you're like, you have your photo space. Like I'm like, I want to write a book and it happens. Like, you know, those are things that like generations before us never thought would happen. And like, it's cool when women succeed. So does a city grow, you know?
Right.
And that's exactly what's happening in Mandeville right now.
Well, look, I'm gonna jump on this women train just for a second. But even though, like, okay, our presidents all have been men, right? Their second hand is usually always a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone up, even the Secretary of Defense, like, and all of that. Because even, like right now, you know, Biden has Kamala, but then even Trump had that blonde hair lady. I don't even remember.
I don't remember.
I'm
Whatever.
gonna be honest with y'all. I know nothing about politics, so I'm just shaking my head and nodding.
Yeah,
Y'all are right.
But it won't be long. I can't wait for the day that the glass earring's broken and that woman's pregnant. And someone just, Nikki Haley just announced she's running for president. Who's like, she was Secretary of Defense. Anyways, she's a great woman. And politics side, both sides have so many great women and men. So I'm not a political commentator.
Me either.
Savannah and I were actually on Pinterest the other day, and there was a shirt, and I really want to buy it. And it was like, I can do everything you can do, but while bleeding. And I was just like,
wait, that's so real.
Because we're both on our periods.
You're cycled up.
Sorry, Grace. We're gonna I know. I still have 2 weeks. I know.
Well,
It's gonna
I don't know.
come
Yours
now.
may start soon. Now that you're hanging out with us.
Y'all are strong. What is it called? Like, there's always like the alpha, like the one who like gets
Savannah's the alpha.
So funny.
I definitely linked up to her schedule.
Well, and then I had my employee start, and Rachel comes in Thursday. She's like, started my period today. And then Michaela's like, oh, I'm about to start mine. Friday, I started mine. And then Michaela's like, oh, I'm about to start. It's like, we're all in the same
synced
cycle.
up
Oh my gosh,
now.
the dumbest thing I've ever done. This was like 2 months ago. It's honestly hilarious. It was. So I was like at my gym with my trainer and I was doing like a lot of abs. And at one point, one of my abs, I had a cramp. And he was like, oh, that's your first ab cramp. So cool. And that night, like, I have never, like, spotted before. It was, like, between 2 periods. And I spotted, and I was like, did I, like, hurt something? And he's like,
oh, my God.
maybe you should call your OBGYN.
Oh, my God. That's out of my scope of practice.
I know. And I was like, it's just spotting. I was like, that's so embarrassing. I was like, to my trainer, I said, then I call that app. I'm like, can I do the ovary buster? Like, you know, that's what I call it. Because I'm like,
you're gonna
like,
show us what it is.
I know. He's like, and everyone's like, why do you call it the ovary buster? I'm like, because I thought I bursted
Because
my
I literally
ovaries
thought
with this ab routine.
Dude,
I was
that's
working
amazing.
so hard.
I don't think that's dumb. I think that's kind of genius.
Just a middle-aged man is like, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Savannah and I were at dinner the other day with a few guys who were just hanging out with our guy friends, and we started bringing up period stuff, and they were like, "Bleh, bleh." Like every time they were like, they couldn't even handle to talk about it, and they were like, we are in a public place, like you can't be talking about periods, and we were like,
Rachel
look,
has literally no filter.
you know what? There's no
public.
filter. This is all natural stuff. Every girl goes through it, and frankly, I think guys should be educated more.
Yeah.
On that stuff.
There's a TikTok prank right now too. I don't know if you've seen it, where girls will say that they had like their Diva cup, and they go, hey, like, you know, like
it's
hey,
stuck.
Cole, it's stuck. Can you dig it? I think it's really far in. Like, you're gonna get so bloody. Like,
I wanted to
and
do
then
that to Cole.
I know. And then the guys are like, okay, I'll do it. Like, as if they're going to Afghanistan. Like, you know, they're going to the same vagina they go into all the time. You know, like they're like, it's like, and they're like, okay, there's blood. Like, and
Yeah, and then they'll sit there and be like, ugh.
yeah.
There was this video on Instagram where this girl's like peeling her skin off of her body. And she's like, it's a time of my month, my skin's peeling. So me and Rachel were sitting at her house, and we totally convinced Cole and my boyfriend at the time that we shed skin during our period.
And
Boys
I was like,
are so gullible.
they're
like,
so
girl.
gullible.
No, I was
It's
literally like,
a woman thing. Like, okay.
yeah, I was like, Cole, why do you think I don't shower with you when I'm on my period? Like, it's because I'm shedding. And he was like, that's what you do in there? And I was like, yes.
And then I was like, and then we crumple it up, and you can wear it as a face mask.
Yeah. And
Wait.
then I was like, Savannah, don't you wear it as a face mask? Because then it adds extra moisture. Like, you know how they say that? And she was like, yeah. And we were keeping the straightest face, and we were just going along with it. And they were both sitting there like,
Yeah.
like they were so concerned.
That's hilarious.
We still haven't told them.
You also wait. You still haven't told them.
No, we did.
We'll listen to it.
If they listen to it, but
Cole doesn't listen to the podcast.
You know, Cole was in my 6th grade class. And then he grew a mustache before everyone else. That's how we all knew him. It was like
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that. Cole literally, like she said, grew a mustache. He got made fun of so much.
Sorry. I don't think I made fun of him. But I hope maybe.
No,
sorry,
now
Cole,
it's
if you're
funny.
listening.
It's okay. I don't think it's listening.
bringing up Cole's trauma. It's fine.
Yeah, Cole's like, okay, whatever. It's like that. He's like, there's no way anyone still remembers that.
Yeah,
Me,
no.
Cole had the mustache.
I mean, he was literally the only 6th grader with a mustache. How would you not?
Yeah.
And everybody told me when I started dating him, they were like, he's going to be bald by 20. Because usually people who grow hair when they're younger, they lose all of it.
He's got a great set of hair.
He has a great set of hair.
Yeah, his hair's
he
thick.
He's good to go,
I've seen
guys.
some boys get bald early from our hometown. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. We all have our,
We love you, receding hairlines.
It's just when they have like the nerve to
So like, don't make fun of me when you're
don't
literally
don't
sitting
sit there
here
and judge
balding.
girls and you're like,
Bitch, you got the
balding.
same hairline as my daddy.
Yeah.
You know something that gets me with the whole like guys judging girls thing? I don't think guys understand how girls' weight fluctuates. So like for me, for example, I will be on like the first week of my monthly cycle, skinny as a mother frigger. The moment I get closer to my period coming, I'm a whole different gene size.
I legit looked 3 months pregnant yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
I know. I ate too. It's like, or I literally, and like if I have one bad day, I'll immediately gain 3-4 pounds. But all it takes is one good day, and it goes.
And
like,
then
It's
you're
gone.
Yeah.
And drink
It's
water,
it's
flush
also
it
so
out.
much bloating is on
Yes.
hormones, and so it's like salt and sodium. But yeah, I'm like one time my friend was like, I've gained 3 pounds. I'm like, dude, I gained 3 pounds in a day. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, it
and then I poop
fluctuates.
it right out. Like
Yeah,
honestly.
I know.
But then,
yeah.
like, we had Chick-fil-A yesterday.
Oh, yeah, it was
And
great.
then I had
And
bun
bun
cakes. So, like, last night I was laying in bed, I was like, oh, my God, I'm legit 3 months pregnant.
Do you ever
Also on my
sit there
period.
though and you're like, it looks like this dress would be so cute? if I
Yeah,
was
for
pregnant.
sure. For sure.
Oh, I've done that too. Like even like I went
I
to a
feel
Mardi
like
Gras
I
ball
would.
and I forgot my Spanx and I was like, ooh, it's really tight. So I'm like, ooh, that's kind of
But
cute.
sometimes
I
it's
was
like you want to poke it out and be like, you know what? Like that's why I like wearing loose stuff all the time now because I'm just like I don't want
Yeah.
to worry about sucking in. But you know, I really I'm in this new phase of my life. I scheduled like a boudoir shoot
Oh, good. I love that. It's like the hottest you're going to get.
Yeah.
You know,
my friend Maddie is doing one. It's called Uncensored. And her goal is to do it so that it's like you as you are, like a self-love shoot. Mm-hmm. And so I've been in this like new phase where I'm trying to be like we talked in a previous episode, which will probably air right before this one, right? Mm-hmm. About manifestation, self-love, and like loving your body the way it is without, comparing to anybody on
for
social
2
media
weeks
or
before a shoot or whatever.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm going to eat healthy before it, but
that's also because you want to.
I want it. Yeah. I've been needing an excuse.
It's not for just your body image. It's for your actual health.
Yeah. But something, I know with your books, you write a lot of like, you almost remind me of like a modern day, like Andy Anderson. Have you seen? You seen?
Stop it. I mean, I could see me with Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, right. It's like great comparison. I'm joking. I see it. Like, when someone says you're like, oh, you remind me of this celebrity. Like, oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't see it, but I'm honored.
But you have the same look. You have the ambition. You have the
totally. Stop it.
But like the how-to stuff too. Yeah. It's like you give a lot of inspiration on like how to achieve like. Tell a little bit about what you do as a job for our listeners.
So, I mean, for the record, it's taken a lot. Like, I'm just now doing this full time. So I think there's also this like impression you get about someone when they're like doing well on social media. But I've also purposely chosen to really not take Instagram ads. And that's something I'm very proud of myself for, as silly as it sounds, because I think I don't want to be labeled too much of like a Christian influencer, because I think I'm just so over influencers. That sounds silly, but
I'm the same way.
I don't want to see one person's list. Like, I will use the links a lot of times, but I'm like, oh, really? You're doing a vitamin thing? I know you don't give a crap about those vitamins.
Yeah, right.
It's like you see through it more than you used to. But I mean, I write books, Christian books, but I try to have a more relatable spin, and I speak to a lot of sororities in general, just kind of like advice, but also just like realistic advice that's Christian. Like, for me, like, honestly, God and Jesus is the only thing that has given me like that like self-love confidence that I can relate to. But also I get so tired of stuffy Christian content that feels like it's from your grandma or pretending to be perfect. Yes. And so I'm like, how can I balance in between? And for a while I was just like focusing on one avenue or the other. Like, I started in college. I mean, it's like, even this all started, this sounds so dumb, and Savannah, don't judge me for what I'm about to say. I very much think this all started in high school with my dumb graduation speech, like where I took a selfie and like the graduation.
Oh my God,
yes. And like, that was like my first like viral bug, and I was like not in a healthy place at the time. Like,
this is the thing though. It's like it takes one thing for you to realize like, okay,
everything happens for a reason.
This is a gateway and I have potential here.
Exactly. And I spoke and I like loved it. It was like this adrenaline. Our principal, amazing Mr. Vetrano, was like, just warning, it's 10,000 eyes, Grace. And I was like, 10,000 eyes and 10,000 ears. And it was like, I remember walking off that stage.
It would be 20,000 ears.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a double audience.
Yeah, well, I'm not, but it was like 5,000 people and 10. You have 2 eyes, 2 ears. Anyways,
that's fair. Okay.
Like, everyone would be one eye. I'm just kidding. Details. But anyways, I remember having a moment where I was like, if I ever get confident enough, that would be so cool to do. And I started a little blog then, and I deleted it because I got scared.
Yeah.
And then I went to college and I applied to work at this website, and I would do funny things. And that was like when I was like finding my humor, like, and I would like make fun of things at Baylor. But then I slowly had like a more like discovering my faith again, because my faith felt like a child thing that I chose. And then I went to college, kind of just like I needed some real life experiences. And I think growing up in my high school, I was a Christian girl. Then I went to a Christian university where I wasn't the Christian girl. And I was like,
you're just like everybody else.
Not even just like everybody else. I was probably like the wild one, but it was like,
I know, y'all
are shocked. I know.
I'm from Louisiana.
Literally, I understand who that's at. I think it was just being in a Baptist school. So I chose like the wild friend group, and I think that like is honestly the God needed to soften my heart, like, and without realizing how much I had been like, the idea of like culture, you can't make yourself feel better just because someone else, and I think in my head, I'm like, well, in the Louisiana setting, I've only drinking like 3 times, but then there were people in Baylor who like had never been kissed, and I'm like, dude, time to pucker up,
wow.
like, let's get this done, and so I was wild to some of them.
Oh, that is a major culture shock.
It was such a culture shock, and I know it's like weird for y'all to think about, but like that was, even in this industry, I'm like the wild one.
Oh, like for me, I was considered, everybody in high school called me the nun. And I went to the hospital twice for drinking too much.
Literally.
But I was the nun of high school and the prude.
That's the thing is like people don't understand about Louisiana culture in general.
It's
that,
different.
like parents are drinking with kids, and I honestly love that about Louisiana, that like it's gonna be like you have to be convicted on your own, you know, like it's the Holy Spirit convicts, not another Christian. Like another Christian can't be like, this is wrong, you know, and you're like, oh, okay. And that's at Baylor, that was the thing. So I think I had to be judged a little and like feel like the baddie, and that made me a better rider overall.
I like that though.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
It pulled out something in you that made you
Completely.
different.
Or to know people, like I would go to a party and someone else would make out with someone, and the rumor was Grace had sex with the senior, and I was like, I'm like a virgin. I was like, where did this rumor get circulated? Like I was like, this is not. And I remember messaging the guy like, hey, I did not have sex with you. You had made out with this girl. Screenshot from us, send it to him.
Yeah.
But
Post
it was
on
like,
Instagram story.
literally, I know. Like, hey everyone, there's been some rumors going around. I'm just kidding.
Let's just clarify.
But so I think I needed to feel like the judged one in a lot of ways to then like be able to do what I'm doing
But
now.
Grace,
That
that's
makes
kind of
sense.
hard.
Oh, it was hard.
That's like a big character, almost like kind of like. Did you have any trauma from that?
No, I mean, it's gotta be really dramatic. I think I had more, I mean, honestly, so in high school, body image was something I struggled with, so I love that you talked about that. And I think that was like this like revenge era. I was like, if I just get hot, things will be better for me. And the sad thing is it worked. Like,
That's
Well,
what it's so many people think.
but I mean, it's okay. Yeah, it's
I was
your mind.
more unhappy. I was more unhappy, but I got popular. Like, I got the dumb things.
Okay, so let's say if you got hot, it's gonna be better, right? But it's more of a confidence boost. It's not like, oh, I'm hot now, my life's better. It's that I'm more comfortable within my own skin,
And that is why
and
life
I
is
like
better.
the way I look in the mirror. You know, then
I agree a little bit. I will push back and say that, like, I went from, like, freshman year being very weird, and I was unconfident, but, like, when I started just, like, adding some blonde highlights, whatever, it was just, like, people just care. Like, people care more what you say. There is, like, a pretty privilege.
I was about to say
Yes.
pretty privileged.
100%.
But then it was almost like a control thing where I was like, how much hotter can I get? Like, what else can I do to my body? Like,
How can
what
I
else?
scale this?
Yeah, like, how can I, like, do this? And so I was not in a good place my senior year of high school. So I feel like I had to see, like, all those sides. I think that in itself, like, me not eating lunch, that was probably, like, more traumatic when I look back on it. But in college, it was honestly just, like, funny. It was like, what? Guys, if I went back to Mandeville and said I was the bad one, like, they would literally laugh. Like, still to this day, I will be shocked by, like, a group text of people and what they're saying. And not in a bad way, but I'm like, I just feel like I'm a little more, like, different. And so... But Baylor was exactly what I needed, I think, to write. And then, not writing Christian books. It's so fun to be able to travel and
So
do that.
back to the body image thing. Do you think your body image was worse in high school or college?
I think in high school, it became like, So I've had, like, in high school, there was a point in my life where I was not eating lunch. I would like eat a granola bar. The best part is not the best. It's like the irony is like everyone's asking what I was doing to my body. Like everyone was like, how did you do it? I never posted so many bikini pictures in my life, and they always
high school.
were. Yeah, in high school, I like had a 6-pack. Like I was like so stressed about it. And like I finally had a teacher pull me aside and be like, Grace, you only talk about this. I've noticed you lost a lot of weight. And that's exactly what I needed, because honestly, I was just kind of waiting for someone to notice. Like,
I wonder, can you share what teacher?
oh, Miss Parker.
Miss Parker.
Yeah,
I loved her.
Like
Okay.
hot teacher.
Yes,
Like,
so she's great, and then one of the teachers that I loved was Miss Vicnair.
Oh, I love Miss Vicnair too.
She pulled me
So
aside.
I went to a different school, so I don't know who y'all talking about.
You're not involved in this conversation.
She's like,
then
my
Rachel.
favorite nun was.
Yeah.
Good thing I don't remember it.
Yeah.
But she had pulled me aside when I was going through something one time, and it's like they're just also in an opportunity where they can make a kid's life totally different.
I'm like, I needed that, because also I think I resented, and this isn't fair for my parents because it was my parents' first time raising me. I resented them for not noticing, because I was like, if anything, I was getting compliments, and I'm like, y'all, if anyone knows I'm not eating, it's y'all, which that's not fair for me to put that on them, you know?
Yeah, but you don't know that at the time. What were you, 16, 17?
And so I
Like,
think I was like, okay, I guess if no one's noticing, I guess I'm doing this right. And so I really appreciate her pulling me aside. I mean, I denied it to her, but then I was
did
able
you drop
to
the weight fast?
I mean, it was like, I can show y'all a picture of me when spring break senior year. It was like, I was a solid like 105, and I'm not meant to be like 105, 110. I was going to like at pack, body pump, Zumba, then singing that stair stepper thing. I would like faint a lot from it.
God.
Like, And I would, the worst, oh my gosh, this is the most Grace Valentine high school thing to do. It makes me want to vomit. Okay. So this is like, this is so much privilege all throughout what I'm about to say. Okay. So I went to Africa the summer before senior year. Okay? And like, there was like these, and it was like a very good experience, very needed for me. But there was these lunch boxes the kids had that they were like very small. Okay. And then I was like, I'm going to buy it and use it all year for the kids. Like, you know, like, and then it became like a way to not have a meal. I'm like, this is a statement for the Lord. Like, you know, but really it was so I could have a 100-calorie granola bar. And that was it. Yeah. And no one, and everyone like, I'm doing it in God's name. Like, and that is using God's name in vain more than, oh my God, ever is. Like, and so I'm firmly, that was my sin. And so, yeah. That, but I mean, looking back at all those things and then feeling like the judge girl, getting an MIP in college, which is like, and having literally.
Oh my God, where you went to college was probably like a huge deal, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, because Baylor, when you get caught on Baylor's campus too, you have to go to AA classes. You have to do an extra 16 hours community service. So I had to go like clean up dog
all
poop.
I do is drink.
I know. Well, and it was like, I'm praying for you. And I'm like, shut up. Like,
oh my God.
This kid's dying somewhere. Like I'm just taking shots at a frat party. Like, you know, and I definitely needed to like simmer down. Don't get me wrong. But I'm like,
you had to go through that to know that.
I had to. And now I think like I have way more of a passion. Like when I go speak at a Christian university, I'm like, gun in my head, this is hard, you know, and I love it. So if anyone here,
but at the same time, it's like, you're not speaking from experience. It's like, I've been through this. I had an MIP. I'm at a Christian school. I know what it's like.
For the rumors to not go in your favor.
Right.
You know?
Like, I've been there. I was the wild kid.
So I think that's exactly what I needed to feel like. I needed to be like the girl who thought she had it all together, was pretending to be perfect. I needed to be the girl who was the drunk. And I think in college, my body image was different because I was treating my body like a trash can. Like I was like drinking random punch at a party. Like I was eating fast food. And so it was almost like I went from one extreme to the other. And now I feel like I'm in a lot more happy place where I'm like, I work out. I still eat what I want. I'm going to eat canes when I'm here. But like, I still like,
God bless Louisiana canes.
Juggle it.
But for me, whenever I had stuff, it was when I was in high school, I would eat an apple a day. That was it.
Okay, ready for me?
Well, I'm not done me.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I got a laundry list.
Your turn. Go. Sorry. Sorry. I cut you off.
So I went through all high school. I was wearing a leotard every day with dance.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long did you do the dance?
I stopped at like 9th grade.
Okay. So I continued it till I graduated. And when we got to a certain spot, like our dance company, you only had certain costumes that could fit. And the leads had the smallest costumes. So you wanted to fit in the smallest costumes. So I just wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
So I went through so many, and same thing as you were saying, like I would sit at to ask my parents now, like, how did you not notice? Yeah. How did you not know I was 93 pounds?
Yeah.
You didn't. I had people tell me, they would come up to me and be like, you look like a Holocaust survivor. But you know what? I loved it.
Yeah, and I remember
I loved
when
it.
people thought like, oh my gosh, are you like anorexic? I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but like that's so
But
bad.
like looking back at it, I'm like, I 100% was.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can still fit, like, I have really small wrists. That's hereditary. But like, it took until I went to a doctor and he looked at me and he said, you know, those kids in Africa said, you're on their level. You are literally on their level. You are malnourished. You will never be able to have kids one day.
And the fact that you were already like a tiny person in general, and then you were treating your body even worse. Like, you know.
How old were you when you went to the doctor and he told you that? Around?
When I started dating Cole, so 9th or 10th grade.
Did the company say anything to y'all too about that? Were they trying to like, you know?
We would eat bad, and then Constantine would like say like, y'all should, which he's a man, but he would be like, y'all shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
But I think the ballet culture was very...
And he grew up in a Romania where they probably like literally didn't have even as much fast food process. So he probably sees it once and is like, this is gonna ruin you. You know?
Like there would be times that like I would eat sandwiches and like girthy food, but I'm allergic to all that stuff. So like what went in went right back out.
Yeah.
TMI. But I never held on to nutrients.
Anyway, so, Rachel can slide and poop into the conversation. She
every time. Hot girls have stomach issues. Yeah. What can I say?
I have had so much stomach issues. That's a whole nother time.
Yeah. But it's just, it happens.
Yeah.
But I started getting it back together once I went into college. I started gaining like healthy weight. And even now I still revert back to the body dysmorphia, like scared to be in a bikini and like this, that, and the other. But then I look at myself, like Savannah and I were talking about this. You'll look at yourself the next day and be like, oh my God, I'm hot as shit.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell was I saying 2 days ago? Because like I look great. It's all like mindset almost.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you tell yourself.
And even like why you work out. I think I've had to tell myself because I used to work out and like be like, it's a punishment. Like, oh, you look horrible. But when I
ate burgers yesterday.
Yeah. But when I go into the gym and I'm like, I can celebrate what my body can do. Like, this is so cool that my body can do this. Like, I can get stronger. It's not about like that. And once I stopped like doing that and I worked out to like gain strength and to watch what my body could do, better mindset.
Well, that's what Savannah and I started doing because when we first started working out, we were going every day and we were going hard.
I was also a trainer though.
Yeah.
Like that was my life. Like,
well, that's why you wanted to be, you were like, a trainer needs to be fit.
Yes.
Like,
I also like thoroughly enjoyed it at that time. It wasn't like I was like, fuck, I have to go to the gym. You know, I thoroughly enjoyed being in the gym.
And you had your own gym, so it was fun.
Right. But when I was in high school, I had the opposite problem y'all did.
What was
yours?
yours?
I was 96 pounds freshman year. I was also young. I was 13 and a freshman in high school, and I graduated at 17 and didn't turn 18 until my second semester of college.
I was that way. I graduated 17 in high school. I was like,
I was the old one.
Yes. So I was young, so obviously like your development is a little bit behind. But I was 96 and a freshman, and I wanted to play sports in college. Well, my dad's like, no one's gonna look at you at 96 pounds. So for breakfast, I was eating a triple stack peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
No.
At lunch,
and your dad's like, beef up.
He's like, beef up, we're bulking. Literally, when I tell y'all I bulked from 9th grade to senior year, I would eat 2 chicken sandwiches from the mall at Fountain Blue. I would eat 2 of those chicken sandwiches.
25.
Yeah. I would eat 2 of those, and then at dinner, I would eat like pans of shepherd's pie, like mashed potatoes, ground beef, and cheese, and then like chicken Alfredo. I would eat like
so you're like carb loading.
I used to eat like a sleeve of Oreos a night, but the thing is volleyball season's in the fall, softball season's in the spring, and all summer long I was playing both for travel. On top of that, you go to school, you go to practice right after, and then I would go to CrossFit right after that. So the amount of calories I was burning, I had to eat like that.
Yeah.
Plus your metabolism at that age is insane, you know? So when I graduated, I was 140, and I was like rock solid fucking softball tank bitch.
Yeah.
Like straight up. So then now I had a whole career in the fitness industry, had a gym, you know, trainer for 6 years, but I'm kind of on the back end where like when I was working out, I was like, I want to look swole. When people see me, I want them to know that I lift. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm like, I don't want my arms to be 24 inches.
And I think now I'm in the like, I lift a lot and it's so fun. Like I just PR'd, and I'll tell you because I'm a trainer and I'm proud of it. You're a trainer. I PR'd my back squat for 240.
I did see that.
So, I was so proud. Dude. And so, but I had started like a year and a half ago at 130. But it's been like a freeing thing for me, if that makes sense. And I think I like what you said because we all go through seasons. Like some season you may be like, this is my era where I am like going balls to the walls in my strength training, and this is like so fun for me. And I'm like, it's life. You can always have a chapter of something, you know. It's never too late to start a new hobby or like, you know, this chapter of this podcast, you know. And so I think especially with fitness, as long as you're having a healthy mindset, it's so great. You know?
A balance, and you understand why you're doing it is for a good reason. It's an easy way to incorporate it into your routine without it feeling forced or negative or however.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do with food right now. Is like there's so much processed stuff out there, and like I really don't want to eat the processed stuff, but I also don't want to have guilt from.
It's just the balance. It's the balance of it.
I know, and it's like a daily struggle.
Because like I went to the grocery store and I realized I was eating a ton of processed stuff. Plus, like when you come back from vacation, you're like, okay, spinach.
Yeah.
Quinoa. That's my go-to. Quinoa, vegetables, shrimp, and I'm like, chickpeas. But then I'm like, enough to fill me up.
All the stuff that I bought was like fruits, veggies, meat. You know, some of it's packaged, but it's good packaged. It's better packaged than some. You know.
Yeah. I love Trader Joe's. There's so many things that just come in a thing, you know?
Yeah.
I want to try out that new Aldi place.
Me too. It's right by my apartment. They just opened
we can
it.
go to that.
Supposedly it's cheap.
Yeah. I heard Aldi has like cheap vegetables, like produce.
But then that's what's confusing. Like, how do you know if it's good for you? Like this morning, Cole we usually use pink Himalayan salt instead of regular salt because we were told that's what we were supposed to do. This morning, there was a study that came out.
There's pros and cons to everything.
That said it was bad. And I was like, I don't know what to do anymore.
In my opinion, you choose your cancer. You choose your, like, you choose, like, there's something you can do. I remember I saw these, like, because, you know, these bloggers are so into, like, what's non-toxins. And I've seen people do it to a good point where, like, yeah, you know, like, maybe don't, like, have bleach around and sniff it in. Like, your nose. Yeah. Like, that's probably not good for you. But I've seen people, like, there's, like, this machine of this blogger once, and it was, like, it beeps when something's too bad. Look at it going over my AirPods. It's like, beep, 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 beep. And I was like, dude, you've gone too far.
Yeah.
Like, there comes a point and you have to realize I can only do so much. This world is a little broken. Like everything is man-made at this point. Like it'd be great if we're in the woods.
There was actually something I listened to. It was actually on What We Said podcast, and they were talking about veganism used to be people would go and become vegans because it was the healthier choice because it wasn't processed, this, that, and the other. And now so many companies or like fast food restaurants have vegan options and this, that, and the other. There's a lot of people not like venturing out of veganism because it's no longer the healthier.
That's because you're so depleted.
Well, that too, yeah.
You're so depleted.
Yeah. You would never be vegan.
No.
I could never.
I could never. If I'm eating a salad, they better have chicken on there. And once that chicken's gone, I'm done eating the salad.
That's exactly how I am.
Like,
sometimes I just like really don't like meat.
Now,
I'm not a steak person, but I need like protein. Like I need that other than chickpeas.
Literally, sometimes I legit will be eating a steak in the middle of it. I'm like, I don't want this anymore.
See, I don't do that for steak. I do that for chicken.
Red meat kind of does rub me the wrong way.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
Sometimes with steak, if it's like
too
medium, I'm good. But like if it's like medium to medium rare, I'm like,
But I could eat sushi daily. That's
just
my thing.
Yeah,
like,
but I love a
so
cheeseburger.
Good.
Oh my god, new place Zen.
I've heard. I'm so.
Savannah is iffy.
I don't
you
like
have to
it.
understand. I am so loyal to Little Tokyo because I spent 3 years working there in high school.
You did.
Yeah.
I still go in and I'm like, just
Did you ever work at Liz's?
No. You're thinking of someone else from high school. You're thinking of Tori.
Yeah. No, I knew Tori worked there, but I didn't know if you.
There was always some.
It might have been
girls.
Little Tokyo is what I'm thinking.
Little Tokyo was like, and I would see so much drama. I'll never forget. There was someone from our high school who went and was like, the rumor was, I was like, remember he went with a different girl. Gosh. Do you remember this?
Yes.
I don't, and I started a whole rumor. Well, it was true. Well, I was waitressing, and I remember texting Chelsea, and I was like, I didn't know this person broke up because he was at Little Tokyo with this girl.
Called out.
And then she was like, they didn't break up, and I was like, oh, I'm like, that's a lot of nerve to come to the public, you know?
Right.
Oh my god, yeah. If you're cheating, don't go in
and
public.
the same restaurant. I think so. I don't like know the names, but I remember hearing
story.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like super against cheating. I said if you're cheating, don't do it in public. But like I feel like I need to say like don't cheat at all.
Don't cheat in general. But I was like,
I think that's so. I am. If you're friends with me, you know that like I have a no tolerance rule for cheating.
Yeah.
Like if you cheat,
but they're gonna cheat on you now, and you're the hottest you'll ever be. You see so many amazing moms who are 45 who are still so hot who get treated.
We
like
saw one this
crap.
morning on Instagram.
Yeah.
Well, no, she don't get treated like crap, but she looks good.
I will say,
she's not 45. I was like,
no.
My goal in life is to be a MILF.
Yeah.
Absolute. Like everybody says, what's your 5-year plan? What is your absolute goal? Mine
MILF.
is to be a MILF.
MILF status.
And I've always wanted that my whole life. I just want to be a hot mom.
Yeah. So back to Zen.
Yeah.
I like Zen. It's good, but they have like, I feel like their food's just like a little extra.
And I love the extra.
Like they have like a seafood sauce on it. Like I like the traditional rolls
Just
that
like-
don't have like all like the new sauces.
okay,
but that's just
Louisiana
me.
has the best sushi ever for the best prices. In Mandeville.
Really?
Mandeville. I have gone so many other places, and
Okay.
Mandeville has the cheapest, best.
I will say I haven't
sushi
found any
ever.
sushi in Florida.
Yeah,
Florida people
and I'm
do
like,
not
you're on
have
the goal.
sushi.
Really?
Or it's so expensive, and it's like mediocre. It's like 25 for
You
like,
know
a little
why?
roll.
It might be because it's like chain restaurants that are getting like cheaper
they
products.
all maybe. But
My dad
I-
owns a
I
restaurant,
think it's
so it's
better,
kinda
though.
like-
I literally, and I'm like, everyone copied. Also, Little Tokyo, literally all at Kazoku. Little Tokyo was the first one, and like literally all these people have quit and started like haiku.
Yeah,
or
everybody
whatever.
started their
Yeah.
own
So they
from
have
Little
the
Tokyo.
same
Haiku's so good.
menu. So I'm
Yeah.
like literally that's how no one else has those menus, but it's because they take the recipes from Little Tokyo. Anyways, so I am balls to the walls.
Yeah,
like,
Grace is
Little-
like, I
I'm
can talk about this
loyal.
forever.
I know,
So-
I know.
Little Tokyo's the
Some
OG.
things
Nobody
don't
can tell me
change.
different.
I know. My boss did buy me alcohol in college, in high school though. That was like, and then my parents caught it, and he's like, I need the money back. I'm like, well, I can't get the money back. My parents caught it, and they never paid it back. But
Yeah.
So
I
funny.
think that is something weird about over here. Like, I started drinking with my parents at 16. And it was
Yeah.
like, you can go to a restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and if your parents are there,
Give
you
you
can.
consent. Yeah.
Yeah, they can give consent for you.
People,
And
I told people that, and they were blown away because I think
Oh,
it's like 60. Like,
Another thing is like walking around with your alcohol in public
Yeah.
on the street.
drive-through daiquiri stores.
Oh, I'm the
drive-through
worst.
alcohol.
One time I took a White Claw and was like walking around. My friend's like, "Why are you doing that?" And I was like, "Because we were going from one bar to another." I'm like, "Why not?" And I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
I forget.
Yeah.
I go other
Yeah.
places and I'm like, wait, I can't leave the bar with my drink.
It
Like,
sucks.
very weird.
It sucks. Yeah.
And then I have to chug my drink, and then it's just not good.
Yeah, at that
chugging
point,
your
it's
drink, I
worse
mean-
for yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
it depends on what level you're at that
Yeah.
moment. If it's
I'm
right in
never-
the beginning, I'm like, let's go.
Never at a high level.
Let's go.
I just don't really drink anymore. I don't like who I am when I drink.
I like am trying to take a step back. I will like drink like a vodka, water, 2 limes. That's it. Which sounds like I don't drink. And you're
That's what Cole drinks.
We're
Only the hard shit,
Tell
Grace.
Cole that.
Tell y'all
Tell Cole
Hey,
that.
the girl that was making fun of your must.
Okay,
in
I
sixth
don't
grade.
think I was. I don't think I was. I think I remember who was making fun of it. But tell him I'm so sorry.
Dude, Cole
No,
comes
I'm
up
kidding.
in every episode, and I always
It's because
He's such a good.
I
He was
freaking love
always,
him so much. He's my angel
He was
baby.
always an amazing guy, even in like middle school. Like he was never like the like typical boy who's like dumb jokes.
He was
who
so
jokes.
quiet.
He's always such a good guy. I just love that even though like I don't know y'all both like in this new season, when I saw y'all get married, that was one when you see 2 people that you're like are uniquely so kind and you're like, oh, that's an amazing
They're
marriage.
perfect.
And so even though I haven't talked to Cole in years, glad we drink the same drink, but I'm even more glad that y'all ended up together. So
No, that is something I did want to touch about. One of our questions we asked questions for Grace's followers and our followers was how to be comfortable in like the season you're in and not kind of live in the past or live in the future.
yeah, and like you're saying like singleness and stuff.
Yeah, like either singleness, like for me right now, I'm in a season where I am in this lull of like I want to start a family, but like we're not really
there
getting
yet.
there.
Yeah.
And it's seeing all the pregnancy announcements and this, that, and the other, and then the being like for me, it's like I've come to the point where like I'm okay where I'm at. But it's hard seeing people younger than you or people who aren't married
Or
getting
accidents,
pregnant.
and you're like, what? I'm trying. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's annoying. And so, like, what do you think with yours with, like,
Well, gosh.
I mean, y'all are both freshly single.
And I've been like a bridesmaid like 7-8 times. And yeah, you're fresh. So like you're really feeling it at the beginning. At that moment, you're either loving it to the extreme or you're like, I hate this.
Oh, listen,
You know?
my therapist just told me I got out of the denial phase.
So you're like, ooh, phase 2.
Yeah, Savannah called me instantly and was
up.
like, did you know I was in denial? And I was like, no, I thought you were fine. She was like, yeah, no, I've been in
I
denial.
thought I was
supposedly.
fine because she was like, you came in, you're like, I'm fine. I'm
But
fine.
you're in denial about being fine.
I am unaffected. I am
Grace
fine.
is like, I believed you.
yeah. I was like, cool.
I was literally like, I thought you were fine. I didn't check up on
Faking
you.
it till you're making it to the freaking tea.
I know. Well, I mean, honestly, when it comes to seasons, I think, gosh, I can look back and, I've had flings, I've dated some people here and there, but like my singleness has truly been the thing that has helped me. So like, even like you starting this podcast, I'm not saying you can still want that. And it doesn't make you pathetic. I think there's also this like, everyone is like trying to be like, if I don't want it, like if it happens when you least expect it, or like, for pregnancy or for dating, and you're like, wait, so am I supposed to sit here and be like, it's not expecting it? I feel so dumb
Yes.
to say out loud, but I can see that every step that God has had me in has led me to like my best. And so I would not be sitting here writing books, traveling to speak. I'm about to go travel to so many different colleges the next 2 months. I would not be able to do that if I was married or like had a baby or that. And so I think God knew what I needed at this season. And that's like kind of like a blanket statement that can feel really annoying when it's not how you want. But I think sometimes you have to remember that like there's, and
Trust
whether you
me.
believe in God or not, that there's there's a helicopter view of your life that you don't have. You can just see this one thing and you see what you wish was in front of you. But like just trust that there's like a helicopter view of like if you saw the whole picture, you'd understand like why this season had to be that. So like enjoy it while it is. And there's also when it comes to singleness too, I get that question all the time, and I almost want to just be like, just suck it up. Like, just.
I have so much to say.
Yeah. Okay, you go.
Grace
I'm
is
like,
like,
if you
sorry,
still
I'll say
have
that.
something to say,
I
no,
mean,
keep
with the
going.
suck it up, I'm like, I have had girls ask me, and I'm like, okay, it's funny because it'll be college girls, and if there's any of them listening, like, I care about you so much, but I'm like, if this is the worst thing that can happen to you, you're 26 and single, but like killing it at work and like finding out more about yourself, mowing your lawn, like, I still have babysit randomly because I love kids and it gets my kid fixed.
I
And
still
it's-
babysit, and
It's
I'm
great
married.
to get Venmo. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, straight.
I have
transfer
$1,000.
immediately. Yeah. Well, I don't know who you're babysitting.
I was paying
Mandeville people.
I was
I
paying
know.
overtime.
Okay. She keeps it stored up.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you just kind of got to realize that this is what you have. Like, if you sit here, like, begging, then, like, you're going to attract the wrong people. You're going to not do well in work.
You're
like,
gonna settle
You're going to
You're
I've
gonna
seen
settle
it happen over and over
because
again.
you're so eager.
Mm.
So one of my other friends is single, okay? And we were FaceTiming the other night, and this is actually a hilarious story. So we're FaceTiming. She's on Hinge, okay?
Yeah.
And
that'll,
she's
like, humble you real
it's
quick.
hilarious. So she's screen recording while she's scrolling, and I'm literally, she's like, okay, I was like, match with him.
Yeah.
He's got potential, so we match. We start the conversation. I'm like, all right, I'm telling her word for word what to say. I said, this is a game. I'm like, this is a game. You put the ball in their court, and if they don't initiate, bye, next person, Literally. So we literally were on Hinge for an hour doing this, and she's like, oh my God, you're so right. It is a game. And I was like, don't respond. Wait a couple minutes, see if he sends you I was like, he'll send you another text message. A couple minutes later, and she's like, how do you know this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you are single, right? You're single. You're complaining about how you want to be in a relationship, how you want to be there, blah, blah, blah. Enjoy. You're never going to have this time back. Once you find the one, once you get married, all of this time that you have by yourself, you're never going to have back. Become the best version of you. Figure out who you want to become. Figure out what you want to be and what characteristics form that person, and work to becoming the best version of yourself. Enjoy your time being alone.
Because also, I don't want to attract a guy who looks at me like a damsel in distress just waiting
No.
on him. Like, I'm like, then he would never be what I need. And so I think, and I have had a lot of friends get married, and I think that's especially people are like, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. I'm like, that is such an honor. Like, celebrate your friends. Like, you are not going to marry that guy. Like, and that's, like, my friend, I'm in town to see Paige and Bowman. Like, there's no way in how I'd have married Bowman. Like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, but Paige is getting married. Like, you can celebrate, and when you celebrate someone so well, you can't, comparison just doesn't come up, because they just, like, don't go together. So when you're watching all your friends get relationships or have babies, like, there might be some boundaries you need to do to protect your own heart, and that is so great. Like, have those boundaries, but just celebrate them well and realize that their blessing doesn't mean yours isn't on its way,
Yes.
And that's something that I've had to learn. And it is like, this is the one time you'll be hot and single and figuring it out. Go on dates, like, figure it out.
Travel. Go places.
I would not be doing what I was today if I wasn't single. And there's nothing more, I will say, being back in my hometown, I always laugh. I have literally in my life, like, you grow up, you do well in life. I'm sure you can relate to this. Literally anyone from high school or Mandible will slide in your DMs. Like, it's just, like, in the irony, I'm like, dude,
like, never.
I think it's also because I'm the out-of-stater. I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have loved this to happen in 2014. But, like, too late. I'm too busy. And so it's the irony
it's also
of
like,
that.
we don't know each other. We knew each other, what, 6,
Like, I'm a
8,
completely
10 years
different
ago?
person than I was
you
10 years ago.
You just see me on Instagram, and that's
exactly.
not
And you don't even like
close.
me for, and I can genuinely say there's so many people I think in the industry I'm in who, like, if people hit on me instantly for, like, the dumb things they know, I'm like, you don't even like me. Or boys get scared to ask someone who's, like, independent on a date, and they try to be my best friend slyly, and I'm like, we're 26. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, us just, stroll out for dinner?
Yeah.
Like,
she definitely has.
Well,
I have nothing to say about this.
Well, Rachel has
You're like,
a
I fell in
theory
love.
that guys and girls can't be friends.
Yeah.
At all.
I have a theory. I've watched so many of my guy friendships always end in, like, I mean, my best college guy friend, we're just now friends again, but I had to cut him off because it was like, I'm in love with you. And now I told him, I was like, until you find the girl that you're like, and it was one of those, he always dated other people. That's also what blew my mind. He goes, you always friend-zoned me. I'm like, you were in long-term relationships. So
Yeah,
I
friend-zoned you.
have to friend-zone you. And so literally we stopped being friends for a year and a half. And I was like, if you're going to find someone, I need to not be in your life. And now he's been dating this girl that, like, he's been dating for like 4 or 5 months. And he's like, hey, like, I miss our friendship. And I'm like, now we can have a healthy friendship, but I felt like we couldn't in that season.
So my theory, guys and girls can never be friends without somebody developing feelings.
Yeah. Or just even, like, guys want to either hook up with someone, date their friends, or date and marry them. Like, that's just, like, how it works. Like,
Well, I just, like, okay, so I think, so, like, I have a good friend that's also my husband's best friend. I can be friends with him because it's through my husband. We hang out with my husband. But if I had a best friend, like, if I had a Savannah level friend that was a male, somebody would catch feelings.
yeah.
And
the light is dim. Like, it's, and at the end of the day, the only thing is missing is physical attraction, maybe for one person.
Yes, but maybe that's what I'm saying. No matter what, something's gonna be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Savannah is like,
I used to be against that,
think
but I've watched so many friendships take that way. What's almost funny is, like, so.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I don't not agree with you. But yeah, it's to an extent. If you're aware of what's going on, then yeah. But since we're on this singleness topic, we had a question. Should girls initiate a first date if the guy they've been asking hasn't yet?
Gosh, I mean, maybe this is where I'm like, you know, I'm so woman power feminist,
Me
but
too.
you know.
Okay, so you
Damn
go ahead.
if I ever ask a guy.
Okay, dude. Okay,
Yeah.
She was talking about that this morning.
so this is the thing. Literally talking about this morning. So Rachel, we had an episode where we were talking about masculine energy and feminine energy. Okay, I have a ton of masculine energy,
I do too.
and it's like, okay, we've been talking. It's a good conversation.
Back squatting, you know.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, testosterone. But it's like we've been talking. Things are great. Like, why haven't you asked me? So let me just ask and let's just get this over with, kind of thing. Like, why have we not done this? But now I'm at the point where I'm like, no, I won't ask.
I've done it before, and I've gone on the dates, and like. But then they're not ready to pursue or like lead. They may be flirting with you for a reason, but not ask you on a date because they know they're not ready. Don't get me wrong though. I think you need to send signals. I'm like, there's always like, have you heard the dropping the handkerchief thing? Mm-mm. Like that's like an old like back in the day, like women would drop the handkerchief, and then if a man picked it up,
they were
like,
interested.
Yeah, so like you can like slide in the DMs and like say something like, oh, ha, ha, whatever, but like. Don't be like, want to get dinner next week? Like, you know, like, want to get a drink?
Okay, so what Cole, I mean, granted, this was now 11 years ago, but what Cole used to tell me whenever we started dating, because I wanted him to do literally everything, 90-10. So he's going to go, as a man, he's going to go 90%. I have to initiate that 10 or else that's how we had our first kiss. Because he kept trying to kiss me and I would turn away. Granted.
Why?
Because we were best friends.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm not ready to break
like
this
15,
barrier.
16.
Yeah, I was
like
just
16,
asking, and I was like, we're best friends. Also, the first time
you're her best friend. I'm like, duh.
The first time he tried to kiss me, he actually kissed another girl that night, and I was like, I'm not your second best. I'm either your first choice or nothing.
Yeah,
fair enough. I would have said no.
Yeah, so I said no, and I made him prove it to me, and I made him kiss me under the stars.
Crawl on the floor.
Yeah. I set the standard for our relationship. But one time, whenever he was doing it, he would always kiss me first, or this and the other, or he would ask me on dates first, or you know. And he sat me down. And he was like, "Hey, a relationship with this type of thing needs to be 90-10." Now that we're like, once we got into a relationship, it was 50-50.
Right.
Whereas like it fluctuates
that.
Sometimes to where like he can't give me all that I need at times, and I have to give a little bit to even it out.
Right.
But it's a even.
I just truly believe if the guy doesn't like the girl more, that it just won't work out.
Yes.
And that's maybe sexist. That maybe is whatever.
I don't know. I disagree with that because I'm like actually obsessed with Cole.
Yeah, but Cole's more obsessed with you.
I don't think
At first.
Oh yeah, at first no, the guy.
And I think there's something about a guy. It needs to feel like it was his idea, like that it was like, or he can't take the pride and the ownership of it.
Yeah.
But that's also annoying because there's so many guys that like I feel like don't ask girls on dates these days, and I blame swiping for that because at the end of the day, when they get the read that like on a Hinge or like a Bumble that like, oh, they obviously think I'm attractive. I have the first thing. Now I can ask him. It takes off. That's the easiest way to know, and so therefore, guys we meet in like the wild, like you know, they don't like
on the streets.
On the streets, like at the whatever. Chimes or wherever you go, Barley Oak is what is it? Rock and Blues.
Oh, where did y'all meet? Chimes.
Yeah, can you imagine?
I mean, some, yeah,
I know.
Some people do.
I know.
I just think it's like the idea of like they have to, and so I think sometimes it feels annoying as girls because like if you're a control freak like me, I'm like, well, I just want to make it happen. But honestly, it gives me so much peace knowing at the end of the day, like I can flirt, I can go out and have a good time, but if they are not willing to pursue me, it probably won't go anywhere.
No, and if they're not going to make the plan, I'm not. It's on you.
I think this goes into our next question. Can I go on a date with one of you? So this would be for y'all two to answer.
Me and Grace are going on a date together, so sorry.
Sorry. We're switching it up right now.
So
we can't
I will give
y'all with
advice. If you are interested in dating one of these two lovely ladies,
you could submit
into their DM.
No, don't slide into the DM. We will open up a Google Drive and you need to submit a resume. I ain't playing.
Oh yeah, I need to see your LinkedIn.
I need pictures. Sorry.
Make sure you're successful.
So funny.
I need a resume.
I know. That's so
okay,
funny.
do you want to go? You want to do the next one?
Okay. Grace, how do you combat imposters? Actually, let's preface this. What is imposter syndrome?
Oh yeah, I had to ask her.
Well, it's honestly, I feel all the time like I'm getting ready to speak to Bama sororities, and like even like what I wear, I'm like, is this like, like is this gonna be cool enough? I think imposter syndrome is basically when you feel like you're putting on a front, like you're like, am I really qualified enough for this? And it's funny because girls get it way more than guys. Like I think they've even said like when it comes to applying for jobs, girls will read a job description and be like, oh, I don't fit this. I don't think I have everything they're looking for. I'm not going to apply. But a guy will be like, cool, I have nothing they're looking for, but like, I'm going to shoot my shot.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
And so I think we do that in life a lot of time. And I think I have a lot of imposter syndrome because it's like when I go to speak like at places, or if I go to meet other people, like I've met some like bigger Christian influencers who I feel like I'm like the wild honor. I just am like, why am I next to them right now? You know, and they're nothing but nice, but I get insecure, and I have to remember that my insecurity is my thing to deal with, not their issue.
Do you think that maybe partially it's insecurity, but do you think also maybe that it's partially being humble?
I think it's being humble, and also it's just true. Like I think there comes a point where how I combat imposter syndrome is also I just like speak the truth. Like there's some times where I will feel like someone will feel something about me, and I'll just like say it. I'm like, hey, I'm feeling like this is like, you know,
communicate.
Like, yeah. I'm like, there's a girl who like definitely has like is in the industry that I'm in, but she's definitely a lot more straight laced. Like I'm wild to her. And I was like, hey, I just love that both of our ministries are so different. And sometimes I feel like you maybe don't think that of me. And she's like, no, I don't think, you know, and then we had a great conversation. I'm like, and when I speak to sorority girls,
you're definitely masculine energy.
Oh, I'm more than people think. I think it's like surprise people who know.
But in the sense of like, I would have never been confrontational and said like,
I
would have just been like,
in a nice. Anyways, but I even like when I speak at sororities though, I'll say, hey, part of my insecurity speaking to you is because I was the girl who said Jesus drink wine, but I took 10 shots and did a keg stand at SAE. So like, you know, like
love it.
It's like. Almost, I think people are done with people faking it till they make it. In some ways, you have to be honest about where and humble, and then also be confident. Like, be confident in who you are and content with who you are not. And I think that has helped me combat imposter syndrome. Like, I am not
accepting what you're not.
And when I'm in a publishing meeting, I do have to, when I'm talking to big wigs, older people who are like, how can you market yourself? I better be dang sure that I'm marketable talking to them. And that is a moment where like, I can be honest about my flaws, but I'm harping them, telling them why I'm worth more money,
right?
Like that.
Why you?
And I think it also is because I'm so confident in who I am, but I'm content with who I'm not, and I'm not trying to be anyone else. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
See, I almost feel like, to me, I guess perspective changes things to where like you were saying not fake it till you make it. For me, that is faking it till I make it, because my insides are so insecure that my fake it till I make it is being a confident person.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm faking that like, oh, like in the sense of I'm saying I don't drink, but I actually go and do keg stands every night. I'm not saying that type of fake it till you make it. To me, that's like acting like you're somebody you're not, and I would never advise anybody to do that. It's like you
coming on this podcast today and be like, you know, I don't know if I feel qualified, but I'm going to be here and I'm going to sit and show up.
Yes, that's how I mean with like fake it till you make it. Like almost manifest the confidence to get yourself to that point.
And I guess my one thing that I have to do and this is probably where I think of it as, I will always admit I'm insecure. Like I will, and I think that opens the door, because we're all struggling with imposter syndrome. But when you just realize it's just insecurity, and like it's a normal thing that we battle every day as women, as men,
well,
as
that's
everything.
I feel like it's normal, and people don't talk about it much. Like anxiety, normal. It's normal to be nervous for a test or to be nervous for your first date.
Walking
and, like,
into a crowded bar.
Yeah, it's okay to be like, hey, I'm actually nervous right now. I'm having nervous sweats. Like.
Times.
Okay, do y'all want to?
Wait,
you have something to say about it?
With the like insecurity part of it that y'all are talking about, I personally find it hard sometimes for me to realize that it's an insecurity.
That's what therapy is helping, though, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I went through 4 years of being insecure and not knowing it was insecure.
Like you thought it was just, you think it's just facts. Like I'm not this.
I'm not this, and then the relationship I was in made it worse. So it was like I'm a fucking piece of shit. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
And I think checking your surroundings, if you constantly are only hearing lies, it's almost like, I always use the analogy of if you're like at an LSU football game and like you get the home team advantage, you know, but here on this earth, and for me, the only thing that makes sense is to think like there's a power of God and there's like an enemy telling me lies. And so my insecurity to me stems from someone who is not God telling me that I'm not worthy, I'm not that. And I like to think like on earth, he has home team advantage. Like this is, he has advantage when we get insecure, when we step on the weight, like you hear the lie, you hear like all that. And so when you realize you are at a home team advantage and it's not your turf, but like you have your game to play and you have to show up and work hard and look at the ball, as silly as that sounds, that analogy, but like, and fight that, then I feel like you can be able to do it. And there's an acknowledgement of like, you have to know your weaknesses. You have to know where you stand, but you also have to know and celebrate your strengths. And so anyone who's struggling to like know their insecurity, I first would say celebrate your strengths, you know, and then imposter syndrome, like make sure you know that and be confident. Celebrate the areas you know you're growing in too, because then you'll continue to grow, but also be aware of the things that you're just like, and content with the things you can't control. Like there will always be someone hotter than you. Like your ex-boyfriend may have cheated on you with someone hotter.
But someone being hotter than you is your opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but the Zendaya at the end of the day though is like so much hotter than me. And that is not like, that is just like straight.
Yeah, if I could go lesbian for anyone.
Yeah. I'm like, it is just like, and so don't get me wrong, but I'm going to be confident in who I am because I know I'm beautiful. Right. Like, it's not a comparison game. But at the end of the day, like, I may not be the prettiest girl in the room, but I can be the kindest. I can be the most secure. I can be the one who makes people funny. I can back squat. I can, these are the things I can control. And so I'm like, that is going to be my priorities. I'm going to try to look the best I can do, but not try to be someone I'm not.
But I also think, like, beauty is perspective, like in the sense, what is the saying? Like beauty's in the eye of the beholder, isn't that?
Yeah.
Like to one, everybody has different tastes. To one person, you could be like super ugly, and to another person, you could be the hottest person that ever walked the earth. And to me, I'm like, okay, as long as I think I'm the hottest person, I need to not care what anybody else thinks, and I think that's helped with age. Like the older I've gotten, the more I have not given a fuck. About what other people.
You become more comfortable with you, though.
Yeah. 100%. This goes into our next one. How to overcome, well, we kind of touched this. How to get over a toxic relationship and trust God through it all.
Well, Savannah, I would love to hear how you got over your toxic relationship.
So I was 18 to 22. That was the time frame of that relationship. Actually, this is really funny that this came up because I posted on my story yesterday. In 2020, I had found an old journal, and an entry was in it from 2016. And I was reading it, and it was January of 2020. Now, I got on Instagram, I was in tears, and talked on my story about how it's been 4 years, and I still feel the same way about myself when it comes to self-love, because there was nothing there. I did not love myself. The lack of self-love that I had has not grown in 4 years. Okay. February, it was when COVID hit, right? And then in May is when I got out of the relationship.
Wow.
And in the stories of 2020, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm over feeling this way. I'm going to make a change. I'm putting myself first. I'm done being selfless and letting everything else around me be better than me. And I was like, I'm over it. I literally manifested getting out of that relationship months in advance. And like, here I am 3 years later, like seeing it from that overview look that you're talking about. And like, holy shit, like I did that. Like I realized that, and I did it. Like I got out of it. I got out of a gaslighting, narcissistic, manipulative relationship. And when I tell you, I was brainwashed, I was brainwashed. Okay. Almost checked myself into a mental hospital. I was about to commit suicide.
Wow.
It was extreme. It was extreme. Had a knife to my wrist, like texting my mom and dad, telling them, I'm sorry that I'm not a good enough daughter. I'm sorry that I'm not good enough. And they're like, what is going on? What are you talking about? Keep in mind, I'm 18, 19, 20 years old. I'm full-time in school. I'm a trainer at PAC. I would work 4 hours before I went to school in the morning, from 5 to 8 in the morning, 5 to 9 in the morning. Went to school until 1, 2 o'clock. Drove straight from school and worked at my dad's restaurant. Paid my own bills at 20 years old. Doing all of this, and I'm texting my parents, I'm sorry, I'm not good enough. They're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
My last year of college, I opened up a personal training studio. So I opened the studio in June, started college in August, and ran a business and finished my last year of college in the same year. The fact that I was so beaten down and broken, and the lack of love that I had for myself was the issue. And so when I got out of that relationship, I went through a very big depression immediately. Very depressed. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, didn't want to get out of the bed. I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks, was skinny, and poured all of that pain into work and loaded my plate up. I was working 7 jobs. 2 of those were my own companies. I was coaching softball teams. I was giving lessons, and then I decided to compete in a bodybuilding show.
No.
Yeah. So all of the pain that I went through those 4 years, I just dumped into myself. And then after the show, I spent a year of just like finding me. And the best thing I can say is that if you're in a situation where you know that you're not happy, you have to look at all of the components in your life, who you're surrounded with, what your job is, what you're doing as your routine throughout the day, and figure out what it is that's not making you happy and not filling your cup, and change it. At the end of the day, I feel like a lot of us forget that we are in control of our lives. Yes, we can't decide if the sun's shining that day and if the grass is green, but we can decide what we're doing for our job, who we're surrounding ourselves, who we're with in a relationship, what our daily routine is, what we're eating. Are we working out? Are we doing things that make us feel good?
Vitamin D.
Yeah, like, getting some sun. Like
something as simple as that.
So you think some of the best
are
advice
you feeding
is like
your soul?
Being by yourself and figuring out what's best.
It depends on the person. It depends on you. Maybe your best thing is being around your family because they help you and they guide you and whatever it is. For me, being by myself allowed me to tune in with myself. And I take vacations once a year by myself because of that.
I love that. I've been wanting to vacation by myself.
I'm going to Europe for a month over the summer by myself. I'm backpacking.
Cool. That's so cool.
So it's just learning, like being able to be comfortable with you and finding the things that feed your soul, and anything that doesn't, bye. Straight up. If some boy's messing with you and he makes you feel like shit every time you're with him or you talk to him, stop talking to him.
Yeah.
Stop talking to him.
Yeah.
If your job is treating you like shit.
It doesn't matter if he was good in the first 2 months. I think sometimes you compare like the first 2 months, but you don't know someone in the first 2 months. So if you're constantly leaving his house, leaving conversations, feeling frustrated, and also like you did, like you're not good enough, then dude, at the end of the day, you can be self-aware in some ways. Maybe there's some places and gaps for you, but at the end of the day, no one who loves you would ever make you feel that way consistently, you know? And on purpose. And I would say on the trusting in God part, I mean, it's kind of like, for me, it's the helicopter, just realizing that there's like a better plan, which is basically what you did. You realize there's a better plan for me than the crap I feel right now. And for me, that, and everyone has their own thing. For me, just knowing that there's a God writing my story, like Romans 8:28, we know that God works for the good of those who love him, who've been called according to his purpose. Like, I have to remind myself, God is working for my good. This breakup, this guy that I know I have to walk away from that's going to kill me is not this like moment that's going to ruin my story. Like, there's something make or break better. Yeah, like there's something better for you. And I think just realizing that and loving yourself, like you said, enough to be like, okay, in the Bible, people, sometimes Christians are like, if I trust God, I can't love myself. I can't do that self-love. I'm like, no, the Bible says love others in the same way that you love yourself. So you have to love yourself. Like you have to create boundaries for yourself that protect yourself from who you want to be. And the last thing I'll say about relationships, give yourself the same advice you give a friend. Like Rachel was saying, if any of my friends get cheated on, I'm like, you're done with them. And like, you've kept that advice for yourself. Cause like Cole's never done that to you. He's like giving you 90, basically 100. Anyways, but at the end of the day, if you would watch your little sister be treated the way you were, then it is not it. You know, if you would hate that for her. And so respect yourself enough to love yourself the same way you love others. Because sometimes the people who feel the worst, most drained from a toxic relationships are people who like give and don't get back. And so I'm like, look at how you're giving to other people and expect that in return.
Right. And I also have a theory, I think I said it earlier too, but like everything happens for a reason. I'm not saying that, oh, like you are in this horrible toxic relationship for a reason, but I'm saying think about how like I feel like you have grown so much from your past relationships, from all these experiences you've been through. Same with me. And I wouldn't change a single thing. Like I went through some really tough shit growing up, and I would not change any of it.
Well, the thing is how you're saying, I didn't tie in the God part of it yet.
No,
so
you don't need to.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it like
no. I kind of got caught up in the other aspect of it, but it was like how to get through it. Like how to get through it. One of the biggest things, as you started talking, I realized like I was reading a ton of books, and it was making me so aware of, I am here for a reason. There is a bigger plan. This is going on right now because it needs to go on right now. Yes. I am depressed and sad right now because I needed to be depressed and sad.
It's a character building.
And it's a chapter. It's not the whole story of your life. Like,
no.
Yes.
This is and there's another verse that I love. It's like, the sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of the deer. He enables me to go in the heights. In Habakkuk 3:19. And I'm like, at the end of the day, like, literally heights are promised in life, whether you believe in God or not. Like, you're gonna go through some tough crap. Like,
yes,
you're gonna go through breakups. We watch movies and we see the plot and it.
Yes,
but they don't know what's coming, but we do. We're like, they're gonna still end up together. They're still not. You don't need to end up with your ex. Sorry, just ignore that. I was like an aunt. But I think it's so important to realize that you don't know the full story, but you have to trust that the ending is good. That it's going
that you're going to be okay.
And for me, God is like the one thing that gives me that. And so for other people, there are other things that I'm sure work, but I really couldn't find it without God.
Right.
But that's me personally, and that's not saying anything anyone needs to be pressed on, but to know that there's a creator who like cares about me and is, there's bad things. And for the record, like, God did not want you to date a toxic guy and be drained and feel not good enough.
Yes.
But a bad thing can be a good thing if it's a God thing, in my opinion. So like the worst crap of your life can turn and transform into something that is like your launching pad for like your business.
Literally, that was my launching pad.
You would not be traveling Europe alone if you didn't have someone who made you feel like crap, probably, And now you've self-discovered these new hobbies. And so I would not be doing what I was doing if it wasn't for whether it's my singleness or even crap or even just like insecurity. And so God transformed things he did not want for me, but he was so good that he made them good. And
right.
so
And it's like, for me, it's like when I do go through something hard now, at that time, this was not my mindset, but now it is. I'm 25. It's been 3 years since that's happened, when something bad or something's not going my way, the way that I see it is an opportunity.
Yes.
I have a new opportunity. So here's my growth. Here's a learning lesson literally shoved in my freaking face.
This is not my Jesus advice, but I'm like, man, you're going to regret this. Like, I literally have that mentality. Like, I'm like, dude, literally watch what I do. Watch who I become. Like, watch how I take care of myself. Like, watch this. Like, and you're going to see this, and I cannot wait to tell you no. And I'm a firm believer. Every guy's always come back. Like, in my life, when I just did not care. But they didn't come back when I was begging them.
Right. Right.
But when I didn't care.
When you turn your back, hey.
And focus on myself.
What's that book where it's like guys love bitches or something like that?
Why men love. Yeah.
Yes. That's supposedly a good book that you should read. So I need to read that. But it's just an opportunity. And it's like, also when you're going through something that is traumatic. So my experience, I would say, is one of the most traumatic experiences I've ever been through. But you have to understand that you're going to go through a grief process too, and being knowledgeable in that grief process to know like the actions you are doing at the moment may not be the best, but it's how you're feeling, and it may be what you need to do in order to get through the next stage of grief. So it takes time, but...
Or not only that, it may be, you may have gained qualities that you need to get through something that like God had something prepared, or like they're like...
He's preparing you for what's next.
Right. Like, okay, for me, if I didn't go through some loss that I had in my high school, I wouldn't have been fully prepared to handle my sister's death that happened last year.
Right.
And if that was the first death I experienced, I probably would have been in a mental hospital.
Right.
But because I've been through so much and learned and grown and just, yes, it sucked, but it got me to where I am to deal with the hardship, something harder than I could have ever imagined.
Right.
It got me to gain that strength.
And I watched someone a mentor of mine I knew personally, like, had like 6 years of infertility. And they never were like people who wanted to adopt. Like, they never did. And so then they adopted their son. And then a classic 4 months later, they got pregnant. And the doctor said there was no way that they would ever. And the craziest part is the kids look like siblings. Like, they look just alike. Blonde hair. They look like the mom. No, everyone's like, wow, are they twins? Like, And I'm like, they had to, once again, if you had a helicopter view of your life, you would see why that guy was not it.
Yes.
Well, you would see why that parents' divorce, like, sucks. But, like.
And why that job wasn't working.
Yeah. I'm like, and you're gonna see it, but if you knew the full story, you'd be like, man, that's how I'll be led to that. But it's also, at the end of the day, God can lead you to that, but if you don't choose to take that, like, do the hard work and like grow, then it won't happen. Like, if you choose to sit and be like, this sucks, I'm gonna just whine about this boy and not do any work on my own end, then like, yeah, that's it, and it may suck. But if you choose to use this height and tread on and not give up and trust in God through it, then that's when good things can happen.
For sure, having that faith. But I could literally sit here and talk for like hours about it.
I know. We had some tapping on the door that our time was done.
Okay.
So
we gotta wrap up. But thank y'all for tuning in. If you are interested in following Grace along her journey, her Instagram is the Grace Valentine. On Instagram, we'll be posting.
Do you have any other socials that
you want to follow?
I mean, I have a podcast too called Water and the Wine Podcast. You can see that. But I do have my book, My newest book is coming out April 11th, and so I think I'm going to do a book signing in Mandeville. So for
Yay!
Mandeville at the Barnes & Noble, which is sweet because that was the Barnes & Noble I used to be like, I want to be a writer, you know?
Oh my God, I love that.
Stop.
We're gonna
Like,
have to
I'm
stop
such a
by.
country song, like, sentimental person these days. I'm like, yeah. But yeah, I think it's going to be April 20th. So,
Okay. Yeah. We'll post that too on the feed to keep it
so
updated. Yeah, for
sweet.
sure.
So sweet.
All right, y'all. But thank y'all for tuning in. We are the Ethereal Girls.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.